If you need some ideas on ways to use up that ground beef, I have got you covered. Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm showing you 3 absolutely delicious ground beef recipes. Now let's go ahead and get started. This first one is a manicotti with meat sauce. This recipe may seem a little intimidating, but it's really actually very easy to make. I started out by adding a 15-ounce container of the whole milk ricotta cheese to a large bowl. I also added half a block of softened cream cheese, along with 2 eggs, 3/4 of a cup of shredded Parmesan cheese, and 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. And for the seasonings, I added a teaspoon of dried parsley, a teaspoon of dried oregano, half a teaspoon of basil, half a teaspoon of salt, and it looks like I need to fill my shaker back up, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. Now stir that around until it's all well combined. I'm going to cover this and place it in the refrigerator while I work on the rest. Now over to the stovetop. In a large pot, I'm cooking up an 8-ounce package of manicotti. I think there's like 14 shells in this box. You'll only need 10 for this recipe, but I just went ahead and boiled the whole box because sometimes I do have a couple that break. While those are cooking according to the box instructions, over to a large skillet, I added 1 pound of lean ground beef along with half a diced onion. Break that up and let it cook until it's cooked through. Those shells are done, so I drained them, rinsed them with cold water, and then set them aside. Now back over to the ground beef. It's cooked through, so I used a paper towel to remove the grease. I turned the heat down to medium-low, then I added in 1½ teaspoons of minced garlic. Now add in 2/3 of a 24-ounce jar of your favorite marinara sauce. I just stirred that and let it simmer for about 5 minutes or so while I worked on filling the shells. I'm using a 9x13 baking dish for this. I did spray it with nonstick spray. Then I poured in the rest of that jar of marinara sauce. And I just used my spoon to spread it out into a thin layer. I grabbed that ricotta cheese mixture we made up earlier, and then I added it to a piping bag and filled those shells. If you don't have a piping bag though, it's okay. You can simply make your own. Just add that mixture to a Ziploc bag and snip off the corner. I filled those cooked manicotti shells as full as I could, and I did make sure that cheese mixture went all the way through. Then after I got all of those placed in the baking dish, I covered them evenly with that meat sauce. Then over the top of that, I added about 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. We love our manicotti cheesy. I sprayed the underside of that foil with some nonstick spray just so nothing would stick. Cover it tightly. Now this bakes at 375 for about 20 minutes. And after about 20 minutes, I did remove it from the oven and remove that foil and let it continue to bake uncovered for 10 more minutes. I do want to say I really appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're not already subscribed, it would really mean a lot to me if you did. I post lots of easy dinner recipes and more every single week, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And here it is out of the oven. It looks and smells amazing. I served it with some garlic bread and a side salad, and this was delicious. This is actually one of my husband's favorite childhood dinners that his mom used to make for him. I wish she was still here because we would have had the best time cooking together. This next recipe is cheeseburger sliders, and I got this one from Jennifer over at Cook, Clean, and Repeat. I started out by browning up 1 pound of lean ground beef. Just cook it until it's cooked through, Then I used a paper towel to remove the grease. I sprinkled over about half of a packet of the onion soup mix. Along with a big spoonful of mayonnaise. Duke's is our absolute favorite. I think the mayonnaise kind of helps to bind everything together. And I also added in a big squirt, maybe 2 tablespoons of ketchup. Stir that until it's all mixed together, then remove it from the heat and set it aside. Now I'm going to make up a quick butter sauce. In a small pot, I added about 3 tablespoons of butter. I let that melt, then I added in some garlic and onion powder, some salt and pepper to taste, and a splash or 2 of Worcestershire sauce. Now whisk that until everything is well combined. I did let it simmer for a minute or 2, then I removed it from the heat and headed over to the counter to assemble these sliders. I had 12 dinner rolls here, but somebody got into them the day before. I had to let that one slide though, because it was my mama. So then I cut those rolls in half horizontally, and then I added on that hamburger mixture. I'm using an 8-ounce package of the sliced cheddar cheese, but you could really use pretty much any cheese you like here, as long as it's something that would be good on a cheeseburger. I used about 8 slices total. I brushed the top of the cheese with a little bit of that butter mixture. Then I put the tops of those sliders back on. Now I'm covering the tops of these with that butter mixture. I started out by brushing it on, but then I decided to just pour it. And after I got that butter all spread out, I covered the tops of these sliders with some sesame seeds. This part is completely optional, but it does make them more like a cheeseburger. I didn't cover mine, but you could if you wanted. I baked them at 350 for 15 to 20 minutes. Just until those tops get nice and golden brown. I just kept it simple and served these with chips. You could have these for dinner, for an easy lunch, or for an appetizer. They were absolutely delicious, and I will be making these again. This last one is a family favorite. It's taco spaghetti. In a large skillet, I added 1 pound of ground beef. Mine was still a little frozen here, so it took a second to chop up, but you'll just want to break this up and cook it until it's cooked through. While that hamburger meat is cooking, over in a separate pot, I boiled up 8 ounces of thin spaghetti. And you'll just cook the spaghetti according to the package instructions. Now to that ground beef, it's cooked through. I did remove most of that grease. Now I'm adding in 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, along with an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. You'll also add in a can of Rotel. I didn't have any, so I added in a can of petite diced tomatoes and a small can of the green chilies. Next, I added in a packet of taco seasoning and also about 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Now give everything a really good stir. Make sure it's all well combined. After that, you're going to add in 8 ounces of the Velveeta melting cheese. I use the Great Value brand. I think it's almost exactly the same. I do like to cut it up into small cubes. That way it melts quicker. I almost forgot to add the sour cream here, and I just added a big spoonful of that. Now stir that and let it cook on low just until all that cheese is melted. When that's ready, you can go ahead and add in your cooked and drained spaghetti noodles. Now stir that until all those noodles are covered in that cheesy sauce. And that's all there is to it. Now this dinner is ready to serve. This recipe is delicious. You can just look at it and see why it's one of my family's favorites. And we like to have this topped with a big old dollop of sour cream. and a little sprinkle of parsley. I think your family will love this. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe below. I post easy recipe videos like this every week, and I will see you in the next one.